exerting.
China, the U.S., and NATO's World War III plan. What you need to know.
We recently discovered the existence of an international criminal organization with ties to former Nazis. Rumor has it, they've built an atom bomb.
With each passing day, a worldwide large-scale military conflict seems more likely, and this has kept international leaders on the edge of their seats. Due to the current global unrest and clashes over several geopolitical issues among powerful countries, there are fears that World War III could be just around the corner. But what exactly are China's, the United States, and NATO's plans and the likelihood of war? Let's find out.
The idea of the storm you've created. Your orders were to get in and deliver the package like we were never there.
First up, China. The United States is aware that China and Russia pose a significant threat to the world order. Apart from the fact that these two countries share a land border, they signed a treaty of good neighborliness and friendly cooperation in 2001. This strategic treaty was renewed for another 5 years after its expiration in February 2022. The deepening partnership between China and Russia and their attempts to undercut the rules-based international order have been frowned upon by NATO. China's continued aggression against Taiwan is also a point of hostility. The reason for this growing threat is because China sees Taiwan as one of its own provinces, and has even vowed to use force to bring the island back within its influence. The desire to sort out issues with force is something the United States continues to disapprove of, and has publicly made it known that it would defend Taiwan if China attacks. According to a statement by President Joe Biden, the United States agrees with one China policy, but the idea that Taiwan can be taken by force is considered to be very inappropriate. Well, shortly after the U.S. politician Nancy Pelosi visited Taipei in August, China conducted a series of aggressive military drills near Taiwan. These drills were designed to intimidate and demonstrate how it could potentially blockade and attack the island. After this, the Pentagon, in turn, considered ways in which it could quickly arm and support the Taiwanese government. Aside from this, another point of hostility that has caused great concern amongst NATO allies in the West is Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Many believe that if Russia comes out victorious in the war, it might decide to invade other neighboring countries. This would make the ongoing war escalate in ways that would inevitably bring the United States more directly into it. There are many ways in which a full-blown war could start across multiple regions. For instance, if China sees that the United States is preoccupied with Europe, it might decide to move against Taiwan. Such an attack could take many forms, from a missile campaign to a full-fledged amphibious invasion whereby troops are deployed alongside the island's beaches. In this scenario, the United States and its NATO allies would have no choice but to run to the aid of Taiwan. And what this means is that the United States would be drawn into simultaneous conflicts with China and Russia. In the end, it might just have to choose to focus on one side of the war. This is because the Department of Defense has adopted the policy of acquiring the means to fight and win just one war. Going by China's expanding interests and global footprint, a war might not be confined to Taiwan and the Western Pacific alone, but instead stretch from the Indian Ocean to the United States itself. There is no doubt that China will try to feed misleading information to satellites in order to stop the space-based location pinpointing needed for weapons. A look at China's recent military spending reveals that it is the second highest in the world after the United States. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, its military budget is greater than the combined expenditure of India, Russia, Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan. However, it pales in comparison to that of the United States. China has also been putting its military expenditure to good use. By 2020, the country had 55 small warships in its inventory. This was more than double the number it had some years back. 6 large amphibious vessels were also launched, and a third aircraft carrier, the Fujian, which is larger than its predecessors, was unveiled this year. China's version of GPS, known as Beidou Navigation Satellite System, also became fully operational in July 2020. This allowed the country to track ships, planes, cars, and smartphones from space. It also marked the end of its reliance on the U.S. technology that has dominated global positioning for decades. In addition to this, the country has increasingly focused more on domestic weapon designs and manufacturing. However, it still imports certain military products, such as jet engines from Russia. Amongst other things, China's Central Military Commission announced the reformation of a separate army leadership organ known as the 2nd Artillery Corps. It was renamed as PLA Rocket Force. The move was both a strategic signal to the West and a measure to increase China's immediate and long-range missile capability. This will also allow them to easily counter third-party intervention during a regional conflict. It is believed that China has about 2,000 mid-range missiles and about 200 to 350 nuclear warheads. This, of course, cannot be compared to the United States arsenal, but it is enough to put a stop to border conflict through the prospect of mutual assured destruction. For those that don't know, mutual assured destruction is a military strategy founded on the notion that a nuclear attack by one superpower would be met with an overwhelming nuclear counterattack, such that both the attacker and the defender would be destroyed. As part of the Chinese military reorganization, an independent branch known as Strategic Support Force, or SFF, was created. China was aware that the integration of information technology can grant military superiority over adversaries, and this was why it decided to form the SFF. The military branch comprises space, cyber, and electronic warfare units, and each has its specific role. For instance, the Cyber Force is made up of hackers focusing on attack and defense. The Space Force, on the other hand, deals with reconnaissance and navigation satellites. And the Electronic Warfare Force focuses on jamming and disrupting enemy radar and communications. All of these will allow China's military to meet the challenges of not only traditional warfare, but also of new warfare centered on new technology.
Listen up, we've found the target. He's surrounded by the entire army.
United States and NATO. The United States leads NATO and also provides a defense umbrella to other countries such as Japan and South Korea. It is general knowledge that the U.S. military has been gaining decades of in-the-field experience by fighting conventional and unconventional wars on every continent. It has experience in World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, Iraq and Afghanistan, just to mention a few. The truth is that China has not dealt with any external crisis or fought full-scale wars in modern history. The last time Chinese troops saw direct action was in 1979, when the country launched a month-long war against Vietnam. This lack of invaluable combat experience is one advantage the United States has over China. Since the first Gulf War, the United States has demonstrated its capability of destroying the adversary through preemptive strikes before they have time to retaliate. And if there is one thing the war in Ukraine has revealed, is that modern precision weapons are highly effective. And the fact that most of these weapons are made by the United States just makes things even more interesting. In addition to this, the country has also been spending more than $150 billion on 800 bases in foreign countries, such as Italy, Diego Garcia, South Korea, Australia, Japan, Kuwait, and Qatar. Collectively, they store 1 million pieces of weapon systems. However, you should know that the United States currently has limited supplies of important equipment and munitions. The stockpile continues to further deplete due to the aid it has been rendering to Ukraine since the start of the Russian invasion. It will also likely take years to replenish many of the munitions that have been provided to Ukraine. Well, the truth is that weapons and munitions are just one part of war. Other factors go a long way in determining whether a faction will come out victorious, and the United States knows this well enough. This is why in 2018, the National Defense Strategy Commission made it known that the United States needed more than just new capabilities, but it rather required new operational concepts that would constrain those of China, Russia, and other adversaries. In response to this report, the Department of Defense produced a joint warfighting concept that was designed to guide the American way of war for the next 30 years. Simply put, the joint warfighting concept is heavily focused on tools like machine learning and artificial information, as well as virtual battlespace environments. According to the retired United States Air Force General John Hyten, the goal is to be fully connected to a combat cloud that has all the information that you can access at any time and anywhere. On a final note, the U.S. remains ahead in space for now, but it is not clear how long its dominance will last. Well, that's all for today. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll have a new video for you soon.